I can tell you that probably the announcement by the IEC that at least 90% of counting will have been done, at least by the end of the day today, that should worry some parties who are really looking at those screens behind me with much more strained eyes, I might say, because as things stand, it does look like some parties have risen to worry, and in particular the governing party. But let's not speak on their behalf. Let's find out from them directly. And we are joined by the chairperson of the ANC, Gwede Mantashe, who joins me in studio here. Mr. Mantashe, thank you very much.
Hello, colleague.
For your time.
And the listeners and the viewers.
Thank you very much. Let's start with the issues that are being raised against the IEC. Political parties expressing unhappiness. The IFP saying that training perhaps may not have been enough of some presiding officers. The DA is actually going to be making a special announcement at about 12:30. That's in 25 minutes' time. And it's got to do with their complaints about, I guess, the IEC's performance here. You, as the ANC, are you satisfied with how things have been run?
Yeah, the IEC is running a complex project. And the ANC, because we're used to running complex projects, we understand the complexities. And therefore, to us, it's not a point of excitement and emotion. It's about getting solutions to whatever problems we come across as we manage a complex project. So we sympathize with the IEC on that regard. So to make emotional announcements about the IEC is not going to help us. Our IEC is highly regarded in the continent and broadly in the world as running a fairly good system of elections, and we must protect that reputation.
The problems that they seem to be encountering now, what would you attribute that to? Is it the short space of time within which they had to mount this election?
Yes, we had very short time. We felt it when we were campaigning, that campaigning within a month and trying to do what you normally do in a year is not an easy thing to do. I would imagine that for the IEC it's the same. But problems must be attended to, and we must be all involve ourselves in being a solution.
Yeah. I want to deal with these matters arising not just around the IEC, but also what could threaten the process here. The power utility, Eskom, saying that, again, its systems are strained and therefore they might implement load shedding at short notice. That has also hobbled your campaign somewhat, given that load shedding was actually a big talking point just days before November 1. What are your thoughts around that?
I made a statement that many people cautioned me against. I said one of the biggest opposition in this election, one of them, was Eskom, because the behavior of Eskom vis-a-vis the elections constituted a big opposition, because it put us on the back foot all the time. Because you have load shedding in the middle of the election, you have load shedding in the middle of exams. It can't be explained fully. It means that we must do more work in getting Eskom to perform.
Well, but you can't escape blame either. You are the Minister of Energy. You took your own sweet time to announce those companies that are going to add more megawatts on the grid. Surely you've got to shoulder some responsibility here.
Yes, one of the things I never run away from is responsibility. But the reality of the matter is that if you use a supplementary program to cover up for the main monopoly energy supplier, you must know that your marbles are not in a row. We are generating supplementary programs to supplement Eskom. But our first bet should be having an Eskom that is operating optimally. And if we can't get that right, it doesn't matter how quick we release bid windows. It is not going to resolve the problem immediately, because to build all these power stations in the bid windows will take on average 36 months.
Yeah.
So we're not getting a solution in the immediate term. And therefore, in the immediate, we must work on the sub-optimal performance of Eskom. We have 45,000 megawatts connected capacity, but we hardly operated 33,000 megawatts. That is where the problem lies.
Let's move to your expectations as to how you're going to perform as the African National Congress. You have said quite clearly during your campaigns that you plan to win back all of the metros. It looks like you are going to run into problems here in Johannesburg. Well, we're not in Johannesburg, we're in Tshwane, but let's talk about Tshwane, eThekwini and Johannesburg. How are things looking?
Let me talk about metros. We're doing exceptionally well in Buffalo City. We're doing well in Mangaung. We are on the balance in Nelson Mandela. Anything can happen. They were at 48%. Johannesburg is more complex. Tshwane is promising. We're going to be very close in Tshwane if we don't take it. Ekurhuleni, let's wait for the result to grow a little bit more, then we can comment confidently. And again, remember that in both Johannesburg and Ekurhuleni, at the heart of our problems was the fact that there were electricity problems in Soweto, there was electricity breakdown in Katlehong. So we are absorbing that. It's part of the problem we're facing, and therefore it will affect the outcome of the results.
Are you willing to shoulder the blame? Very briefly, I'm out of time. Are you willing to shoulder the blame of the poor voter turnout? Because some people are saying that, well, it's got to do with the unfulfilled promises. Some people waiting for water or electricity since 1994, and therefore just people feeling completely dejected.
Can I remind you, Xoli? Only 3 areas. In 1994, only 39% of South Africa had access to electricity. Today, 87%. Therefore, what is having a backlog is rolling out of the infrastructure, which we take responsibility. In 1994, what is called NSFAS today, which is close to 40 billion rand, was 21 million. We have thousands and thousands of new graduates who come out of that system. The system is stressed. The same applies to water, because local authority that we're voting for today was not a right for a black person in South Africa. It is a black for everybody. If we have not caught up with the speed, we are prepared to accept the blame. That's why the ANC went out everywhere, owned up to the problems that it committed.
Well, we're going to see what that apology campaign is going to do when the results are finally tallied. Let's leave it there. Gwede Mantashe, thank you very much. Hopefully we're going to talk to you a little later.
Very good.
Thank you. All right, Tami, that's the African National Congress Chairperson, Gwede Mantashe, giving us his sense of what things are holding, or how things are holding on the ground, whether you talk the IEC, Eskom issues, and indeed their own performance as the African National Congress.